Hello our dear viewers, thank you for watching MRIU TV. This is Poko Poko News. I'm Babazi Sharon. Let's first have the headlines and then we'll be right back with the news in details. Niger's Mohamed Bazoum sworn in as president after failed coup. Record number of Filipino lawyers killed under Duterte's watch. France schools to cross under third lockdown. Malawian president seeks more time for cabinet reshuffle. Dozen killed after Taiwan train derails in tunnel. Niger's newly elected president, Mohamed Bazoum, has been sworn in after a failed coup days earlier towards the inauguration. Mbabazi Sharon reports. Niger's newly elected president, Mohamed Bazoum, has been sworn in, a democratic watershed overshadowed by armed groups' violence and alleged coup bid 2 days ago. The inauguration on Friday marks the first ever transition between elected presidents in Niger's 6 decades of independence from France, a historic moment that has been widely praised. In the early hours of Wednesday, after gunfire broke out near the presidency in the capital Niamey, the government announced an attempt coup had been thwarted, a cowardly and regressive act which thought to threaten democracy and the state of law. The alleged coup leader is an Air Force officer in charge of security at Niamey's airbase and is being actively thought, a source within Niger's security services told news agents on Wednesday. 61 lawyers, prosecutors, and judges were killed in the last 5 years, prompting calls for the United Nations to help investigate. Babazi Sharon reports. 61 lawyers, prosecutors, and judges were killed in the last 5 years, prompting calls for the United Nations to help investigate. In the 5 years since Duterte became president, dozens of people in the legal profession have been brutally attacked, often with deadly consequences. According to the Free Legal Assistance Group, 61 lawyers, prosecutors, and judges have been killed during Duterte's term, higher than all the recorded deadly attacks on lawyers in the last 50 years under 6 previous presidents. Most were killed while doing their job. There have been no convictions so far in any of the deadly attacks recorded since 2016, and the National Union of People's Lawyers is now calling on the United Nations Special Reporters on the independence of judges and lawyers, Diego Garcia, to undertake more aggressive and concrete measures to help investigate and prosecute the perpetrators. French schools will close for at least 3 weeks as part of new national restrictions to fight the rising COVID-19 cases. Galiwango Abdunur reports.
French schools will close for at least 3 weeks as part of a new national restrictions to fight the rising COVID-19 cases. Mr. Macron, the president of France, said that schools would move to remote learning from next week. Lockdown measures have been introduced in some areas of France earlier this month. These have been also extended to other districts. All non-essential shops are to close from Saturday, and there will be a ban on traveling more than 10 kilometers from home without a good reason. This is because the country is facing a peak of over 5,000 people in intensive care. On Wednesday, the country's health ministry reported 59,800 new cases. France, so far, has reported 4.6 million cases of coronavirus in the past weeks. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo on Wednesday backed the closure of schools, saying that the move, which had been seen by the government as a last resort, was necessary because of the very serious situation in France. A group of French school teachers had earlier filed a legal complaint against Education Minister Jean-Michel Blanquer for endangering the lives of others. They accused him of failing to protect staff in regular contact with children in classrooms. The head of infectious diseases at the Tenon Hospital in Paris, Blaise Pilox, said that lockdown restrictions should have been implemented sooner. Galuango Abdunol, Mrutv News.
Malawian President Lazarus Chakwera on Wednesday postponed the announcement of a new cabinet lineup, saying that he needed more time. Galiwango Abdunul reports.
Malawian President Lazarus Chakwera on Wednesday postponed the announcement of a new cabinet lineup, saying that he needed more time. His office said he had received the cabinet assessment reports from Vice President Solus Chilima on Wednesday and could not make the changes immediately, as the reports were substantial and needed a president's thorough review, and the completion of the task will take a few more days, longer than anticipated. This was said by the Presidential Press Secretary, Brian Banda, on Monday. The president told Malawians that there would be a cabinet reshuffle in 48 hours. He has now asked for patience, saying he will announce the cabinet pretty soon. However, some local media have pointed a picture of the president and the vice president posted on Malawi State House Facebook page on 19th February with a caption that they were jointly assessing the performance of the cabinet. For Mrutv News, I'm Galiwango Abdunul.
51 people have been killed and more than 100 injured after a packed express train collided with a truck and derailed in a tunnel in eastern Taiwan. Mbabazi Sharon reports. At least 54 people were killed and over 100 injured after a packed express train derailed in a tunnel in eastern Taiwan on Friday morning. According to authorities, it is the worst train crash on the island in at least 40 years. Images from the scene showed carriages in the tunnel ripped apart by the impact, with others cramped, hindering rescuers in their efforts to reach passengers. Although by mid-afternoon, no one was still trapped. At the site, Transport Minister Lin Chiarang told reporters that it had been culling about 490 people, higher than an earlier figure of 350 provided by the fire authorities. Thank you for watching Poko Poko News at MRIU TV, and don't forget to subscribe to our media platforms: Twitter at MRIU, Facebook MRIU TV, and YouTube MRIU TV. I remain Mbabazi Sharon.